Here at MBY, we are big fans of the Highfield ADV9. Now that was their first move into the world of hybrid adventure ribs. This is it. But here at the Dusseldorf Boat Show, that is not the star of the show, because there's a second model in that very same line, and it's this. It's called the Highfield ADV9. Now, first things first, as you'd expect, there are significant overlaps in the underpinnings. If we look at the ADV9, that was particularly unique in this sector because it had a very, very fine entry, a very tapered bow, and a very elevated, narrow collar. If we move forward to the ADV9, well, as you can see, the hull takes that very same approach. But interestingly, the collar is slightly enlarged proportionally on this boat. It's a 45cm collar, and it actually does good things for the aesthetic. There was an argument that the ADV9 looked a bit ungainly and elevated on the water, and this, on the basis of what we see here, shouldn't do. But certainly that collar has other benefits, even though it's very elevated, so it doesn't actually provide that additional buoyancy and stability in the traditional fashion that a regular rib would. It does add an additional 3 tons of buoyancy in principle, so that is very useful in terms of the classification of the boat. So it's rated to carry 9 people category B or 14 category C, so it's particularly useful that for charter applications. As you can see, this particular showboat has a pair of Honda 250s, but there are plenty of engine options. You can start off with a single 350. You can ramp that right up to a pair of 300s, so anything between 37 and about 50 knots. As I say, lots of flexibility. But I suspect with a pair of Mercury 225s for the top end of 41 knots and a nice efficient cruise of about 2 litres per nautical mile, that would work very well for a lot of family users. We've got plenty of space back here as well though. We've got good swim platforms on both sides. We've got a ladder there. We've got the shore power over on this moulding above the collar on the port side. And if we move around and take a look inside this boat, well, you're likely to be impressed with the beam. The internal beam is nearly 8 feet, and the reason for that, of course, is the fact it uses the same principle as the ADV9. If I step inside, you'll see there's absolutely no ingress into that space from this narrow elevated collar. All of that is ours to play with, and because it's relatively raised as well, there's a good lofty freeboard in here. It feels very, very secure indeed, which is by no means something you can say about a lot of 9-metre ribs. Now, they've used that space really well. What we have here is some fixed bench seating in an L shape around the stern and the port side. There's also a drop-down bench against the back end of this transverse wet bar, an additional bench on the port side. We've left that open just so we can walk fore and aft through that transom gate. But with all these benches folded down, you've got easy seating for at least 8 people. And when you drop this table into the space and top it with cushions, well, you've got an absolutely enormous sunpad. And it gets even better because if you operate these little toggles on the backrest for that bench, that folds down into that engine well and essentially gives you a sense of a Mediterranean day boat with an open transom and a deck that simply flows aft towards the open water. It's a fantastic feature on any kind of boat at 9 metres, but certainly on a rib style boat of this nature. But there's more to be said in here, of course. We've got a neat little extension to the T-top here with a glass panel overhead just to shelter you from the elements at this dinette. We've got flexi-teak decking on the deck there for ease of maintenance. And in the absence of a shower in the forward cabin, there's not quite the space for that. We've got a transom shower and a little tank beneath this section of deck, so you can have a hot water shower back here in the open air. And that makes sense. You know, there is a kind of med style feeling to the way this aft deck operates, and you can see this boat doing pretty well for med charter. So a hot and cold shower on the transom makes a lot more sense than you might initially think. Now down below we've also got a scan strut compressor, so you can inflate and deflate your toys, your stand-up paddleboards and so on. And if I just move backwards and stand up on the collar and peer over the roof structure, you'll see we've got a roof rack up top for carrying those toys. As you'd expect, as a Highfield, the structure of this roof is all built from aluminium, and very well built at that. The top part is fiberglass, and it's a weight-bearing roof, so you can put all sorts of toys up there, no problem at all, and they're very easy to reach. As I mentioned, these elevated collars certainly help with that, but we also have a little trough built into this roof structure just to drain the water away, and it's nice and curved and smoothed off, so you can pop your hand on that and guide yourself around the boat, no problem at all. It's very easily done. If I jump back down into the space and fold up this bench, let's take a look at this wet bar. It's a good size, and like everything else on this boat, it feels very stylishly designed. Lift that up and you'll see we've got a couple of gas rings there. You can also have an electric hob if you prefer, a sink here with a little lid, some storage underneath. We've also got a couple of optional fridges built into the sides of this unit to take care of that side of things. And the gas locker itself is tucked away just down in here in that little box. So it's very neatly put together. Just pop everything away, close the lid back up. And as you'll already have noticed, the fact we've got such a generous internal beam, that means that all this furniture is central. It's all symmetrical. The helm as well. There's no need to offset this stuff over to the port side to open up a starboard walkway, because we get equally generous walkways on both sides without impoverishing the stuff you need in the center. So it really does change the dynamic entirely, having such a generous beam to play with. And if we step forward past this remarkably generous 3-man helm and the access to the cabin, you see we've got 3 steps up to the foredeck, and that differs markedly from the ADV9, of course, because on the ADV9 this is a kind of sunken bow lounge, another day space. What we have here is a raised foredeck to generate a bit of volume down below in that cabin. We've got good rails on both sides, good places to plant your feet as well. It's not huge, but there's space here, I would say, for 3 people just to sit and relax. There's one hatch built into that moulding ahead of the screen, and there's an optional second hatch just here, which means that if you're using this boat in the Mediterranean and you're staying overnight, you can just get an extra bit of air, an extra bit of ventilation when you're lying there in bed. Makes lots and lots of sense. So working our way back down the port side, let's spin around and take a quick look at the helm station. Now, as you can see, it's relatively elevated, but so are these seats, which means if I perch myself in at this position, this is my eye line, you get a great view of the forepeak, the bow of your own boat. It's very confidence inspiring. That's what you want when you're in a lively sea. There's good space on this upper tier of the dash as well. We've got a 16-inch plotter, but there's space for a second one. Mercifully, there's plenty of nice practical manual switch gear as well. I like to see that. We got the tabs switches there, twin throttles to the right hand side of the adjustable wheel, and a good grabbing rail for getting down below. It's quite a nice matte dash fabric as well, and we've got some vents to keep the screen nice and clear. What I really like here though, aside from the very natural ergonomics of the position, is the fact that it just feels so very premium, and that's very deliberate on the part of Highfield. They're very well known, as they know, for their tough, reliable boats, but what they're not so well known for is luxury, and this delivers it, not least in features like these seats. Now, even as standalone seats, they're very comfortable. You've got the lateral support and the bolsters, and they're adjustable, but they also come heated for just €800 extra for all 3, which makes all kinds of sense. If you've ever been out on a chilly winter's day, you'll appreciate that, and you'll also appreciate the fact that in the future you'll be able to spec a heated wheel as well, so your bum stays warm and your hands stay warm, and you've got to love that. Now, if we just squeeze round to starboard side, you'll see this is the access point to the cabin, and I think you're likely to be really, really impressed with this. If I just bend down and take a look, and right enough, it feels faintly erotic at the moment because we haven't altered the lighting, but let's do that now. Let's give ourselves something a little bit more neutral. That's probably a little better, isn't it? What we have here is a changing seat here, a little bit of storage. There's a sink under that section, There's some good space. We go right down into the depths of the hull here, so you don't feel like it's at all pinched. And we've got lovely big windows on both sides with opening sections, just to give you, again, lots of lovely light and ventilation. If I move into that space and take a look at the bed, well, this really is excellent. I did not expect it at all. I mean, the deck head is so elevated, you could very feasibly sleep with your head forward. And I've actually slotted myself in there. It's really very comfortable indeed. A couple of pillows and you could almost kind of prop yourself up for a read as well. I like the fact that we've lined the fiberglass with little bits of cushion as well, just so you don't bump shoulders on chilly stuff in the middle of the night and wake yourself up. And the proportions are very good indeed. I'll spin around and lift this lid. That's the toilet we're talking about, and the black water tank for that is beneath the bed. As I say, no shower in here. Not quite the space for that. There is talk of a kind of privacy curtain partition between the bed and this section, just so you can do your business in the night without being overlooked by whoever else might be in your bed. But I have to say, even in this form, as boat number one, this feels like a tremendously satisfying way to use the space. So there it is. That is the new Highfield ADV9. Now, as I say, we were impressed with the ADV7 last year. But for me, that platform, spec'd up in the right way, is a really seismic step forward and a step up for the Highfield brand. Now, whether you agree with that or not, please do give us your comments in the section below. We'd love to hear from you. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button. And if you want to see more videos like this in the future, then make sure you subscribe to the Motorboats and Yachting channel.